The Last Exodus, A World Left Behind, Book 2. Act 1, The Fracture. There's a sound a system makes right before it fails. Not loud, not dramatic, subtle, like something slipping, just slightly out of place. On the moon, you learn to listen for it, because everything here was held together by systems. Air, water, food, control. And control was starting to slip. I noticed it in the pauses, the ones that weren't there before. A delay in the air cycling, a flicker in the lights that lasted half a second too long, a silence in the public channels where updates used to be constant. No one said anything, not at first, because no one wanted to be the one to say it out loud. We weren't stable. We were running out. "Daniel!" I looked up. My partner stood in the doorway. Same look she had the night we left Earth, the one that said, "You already know something's wrong." "What is it?" she asked. I hesitated, because the truth wasn't one thing, it was everything. "They cut water allocations again," I said. Her expression didn't change. That was worse. "By how much?" 5%. A pause. Then, "That's the third time this month." I nodded. Our son sat at the table, quiet, listening. They always listened now. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. I opened my mouth, closed it. "Not yet." That was the truth. And the lie, because trouble here didn't arrive all at once. It tightened, slowly, until one day you couldn't breathe. The announcement came an hour later, every screen, every speaker, every system. The council seal appeared, clean, controlled, unshaken. "Citizens of Lunar City 1, the voice began, calm, too calm. "We are entering a period of necessary optimization." Optimization, that word again. "Due to ongoing resource constraints, all sectors will transition to adjusted consumption protocols." Translation? Less water, less food, less margin for error. But then something new. "We regret to inform you that Earth has declined further cooperation." That got people's attention. Not panic, not yet, but something shifted, because Earth was supposed to be the backup, the safety net, and now it was gone.
"They refused?" someone said behind me. "That doesn't make sense," another replied. "They need us." "Do they?" I didn't turn around, because I already knew the truth. They didn't. The broadcast continued. "We pursued diplomatic solutions in good faith." A pause. "But it has become clear," the voice sharpened, just slightly, "that Earth no longer recognizes its responsibility to the continuation of humanity beyond its surface." There it was. Not just refusal, blame. "They're positioning it already," I muttered. My partner looked at me. "Positioning what?" I didn't answer right away, because I'd seen this before, back on Earth. Different context, same pattern. "You don't tell people the system is failing," I said quietly. "You tell them," I looked up at the screen, "someone else is responsible." The broadcast ended with one final line. "We will ensure our future, with or without Earth." Silence. Then the noise began. Questions, anger, confusion. But underneath all of it, something else was growing. Entitlement. "They can't just refuse us. We built this. We paid for this." I closed my eyes, because that was the problem. They still thought this was something they owned, not something they depended on.
That night, the private channels lit up. Not public forums, not official broadcasts, internal feeds, council leaks, restricted conversations. And somehow, I still knew how to find them. Old habits. One file stood out, tagged Dominion strategy, priority access. I shouldn't have opened it. I knew that, but I did. The first line was enough. Earth is no longer a partner. It is a controlled resource environment. I stared at the screen, read it again, slower this time. Not a mistake, not a misinterpretation, a decision. They're not negotiating, I whispered. My partner stepped closer. What are they doing? I looked at her, and for the first time since we arrived on the moon, I said something I couldn't take back. They're preparing for war. Silence. Because once you say it, it becomes real. And somewhere deep in the systems of Lunar City 1, that quiet, subtle sound returned. Something slipping. Closer now.
Act 2. The Council splits. Power doesn't fracture all at once. It cracks along lines that were always there. You just don't see them until pressure forces them open. The council chamber was built to feel permanent. High ceilings, clean lines, controlled lighting. Everything about it said, "This will last." But the people inside it, they weren't built for this. I wasn't supposed to be there, but access is a skill. And the deeper things fall apart, the easier it becomes to find the cracks. "We are out of time," one voice said, sharp, controlled. I recognized him immediately, Adrian Voss. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. People like him never do. "Resource projections are no longer theoretical," he continued. "They are immediate." A display lit up behind him, numbers, decline curves, red everywhere. "We cannot sustain current population levels beyond 18 months. Silence. Not shock. They already knew. They just hadn't heard it said like that, not directly. "We need solutions," another council member said, older, more cautious. "We need time." Voss turned slightly. "We don't have time." Another voice. "Then we reduce population load." That landed hard. Even here, there were lines. "Not acceptable," someone else said quickly. "Then what is?" Voss asked. No answer. Because every solution cost something, and no one here was used to paying the cost themselves. I leaned back in the shadows, listening, watching, because this wasn't just a meeting, it was a turning point. "We go back to Earth," Voss said. There it was, simple, direct, unavoidable. Murmurs spread instantly. "That's not an option. They already refused us. We reopened negotiations." Voss shook his head slightly. "You're still thinking in the old model." A pause. "Partnership implies equality." He looked around the room. "Earth has made it clear they do not see us that way." Silence. "So we adapt," he continued, "to reality." "And what reality is that?" someone challenged. Voss didn't hesitate. "That Earth has what we need, a beat, and we take it." That was the moment, the exact moment, everything changed.
Act 3. Earth prepares. There is a difference between a world that survives and a world that learns. We expected Earth to break. That was the assumption, the model, the justification for everything that came after. Pollution, collapse, scarcity. We told ourselves the story that we were the ones who saw it coming, the ones who acted, the ones who survived. But stories only work until reality shows up. The transmission came 3 days after the council session, unscheduled, unfiltered, which meant one thing. It wasn't for the public. It was for them. And somehow, I was watching it anyway.
The screen flickered once. Then it stabilized. A horizon appeared.
Not synthetic, not simulated, real. Sunlight broke slowly over a landscape that shouldn't exist anymore. Not like this, not untouched. There was no haze, no burn in the sky, no weight in the air. Just soft light, clean, alive. For a moment, no one spoke, because even through a screen you could feel it. This wasn't survival, this was something else. The feed shifted, pulled back, revealing structures woven into the landscape, not built over it, but with it. Cities, if you could still call them that. No tower in glass, no endless steel. Everything curved, flowed, breathed. Energy systems hidden in plain sight. Water moving where it needed to go. People just living. No rush, no panic, and no noise.
A voice came through, clear, unamplified. "We know you're watching." The feed stabilized further. A figure stepped into view, not armored or elevated, just present. "We expected you would be." No title or introduction. They didn't need one, because authority here felt different. "We've received your requests," they continued. A pause. "And your assumptions." That word landed. Assumptions. Behind me, somewhere in the station, I could feel it. Tension tightening. "They're baiting us," someone muttered over a secondary channel. "No," another replied. "They're correcting us." The speaker on screen continued. "You believe we're struggling." A slight shift in tone. Not mocking, but not soft either. "You believe you need what you offer." A longer pause. Then, "We don't."
Silence. Not static, real silence. The kind that spreads. The kind that forces people to confront something they don't want to understand. The feed changed again. Not a speech now, a demonstration. Systems, quiet, invisible, and precise. A river redirected, without machinery. A structure adjusting its position, without visible force. Fields regulating themselves. Energy flowing without wires. Control, without control systems. Or at least not the kind we understood. "They're not showing off," I said quietly. My partner looked at me. "Then what are they doing?" I didn't look away from the screen. "They're setting a boundary." The speaker returned, closer now. "This is not a warning," they said, which meant it was. "It's clarity." A breath. "We are not the world you left." Behind the calm there was something else. Strength, not aggressive but certain. "We do not operate under the systems that failed before." That hit, because everyone knew they meant us. "You're not listening," a council voice cut in over the transmission, sharp. "We're offering cooperation." The figure didn't react, didn't acknowledge the interruption. Instead, they said something worse. "You're offering continuation." A pause. "We chose something else." The screen shifted one last time, upward, past the horizon into the sky. And that's when we saw it. Not ships, not weapons, structure, position, control, an orbital network, invisible unless you knew where to look. "Defensive grid," someone whispered. "No," I said, because I understood it, not completely, but enough. "That's not designed to destroy anything." A beat. "It's designed to stop everything." The transmission began to fade, but before it cut, the speaker left us with one final line. "If you come back," a pause, "come to change." The signal died. And just like that, Earth was gone again. But this time, it didn't feel distant. It felt out of reach.
Behind me, the station came back to life. Voices, orders, control. But something had shifted. Not in the systems, in the people. Because for the first time, the moon understood something it wasn't built to accept. We weren't ahead. We weren't superior. We weren't even necessary. And somewhere deep inside Lunar City 1, that quiet, subtle sound returned. Louder now. Closer. Cracking.
Act 4. First Contact. There's a moment, right before conflict becomes inevitable, when both sides still pretend they're there to talk. This was that moment. The ship they sent to Earth was smaller this time. Not a carrier, not a transport. A message. Clean lines, minimal crew, no weapons visible, which meant nothing. Docking sequence initiated, the pilot said, as the ship approached an awe-inspiring metallic building in a remote section of the Earth surrounded by greenery and a river. His voice was steady, too steady, like if he held it together long enough, everything else might follow. I sat across from the delegation, 3 council representatives. Adrian Voss wasn't one of them. He didn't need to be. This wasn't the decision. This was the performance. "They'll listen," one of them said quietly. He adjusted his sleeve. Small, nervous movement. "They have to." I didn't respond because I had seen Earth, and Earth didn't have to do anything anymore. "Daniel," another said, turning toward me, "you've been here." A pause. "You've spoken to them." Not a question, but a calculation. What are we walking into? I met his eyes and told the truth. Not what you think. That didn't help. The ship shuddered slightly as it entered an opening in the building and landed inside. Docking complete. A pause. Then something unexpected. No delay, no scanning protocol, no security escalation, just welcome.
The ship's airlock opened, and we stepped through. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not empty, intentional. No alarms, no rushing personnel, no visible defenses, just open space. The structure we entered wasn't metallic, not in the way ours were. It felt grown, like it had been shaped instead of built. "Stay close," one of the representatives said. Instinct, but unnecessary because no one was watching us, at least not in a way we could see. We were guided without being guided, subtle shifts in light, open pathways, an understanding of where to go without being told. "They're controlling the environment," the third representative whispered. "No," I said, "they're letting it respond." That unsettled them more. We entered a circular chamber. No raised platform, no central authority point, just equal space. And then they were there. Not entering. 3 of them already present, mirroring us, deliberate, balanced. No advantage or intimidation, just symmetry. The same figure from the transmission stepped forward, calm, unshaken. "You came back." No accusation, no welcome, just fact.
The lead council representative straightened. "We came to reopen dialogue, to establish a path forward." The Earth representative tilted their head slightly. A path to what? The question landed harder than expected. "To cooperation," the representative replied. "To mutual survival." Silence. Then, "You still think this is mutual?" That word again. The council rep held his ground. "We are part of the same species." "Yes," the Earth speaker said, "but not the same system." A shift in the room, not physical, conceptual. "We require access to resources," the second representative said. "Direct. Water, materials, agricultural expansion capacity. No more dancing around it." The Earth representative didn't respond immediately. Instead, they asked, "Why?" That caught them off guard. "To stabilize our population."
Why is your population unstable? A pause. Because of resource limitations. And why do you have resource limitations? The second representative frowned. That's not relevant. It's the only relevant question. Silence. Because the answer was sitting in the room. We built for survival, the first representative said carefully, and in doing so, he stopped, didn't finish, because he couldn't. The Earth speaker did it for him. You built a system that consumes faster than it sustains. No anger, no judgment, just clarity. That system is failing, they continued, and now you're asking us, a slight pause, to feed it. That was the moment, the exact moment the conversation stopped being a negotiation and became something else. We are offering partnership, the third representative said, sharper now. We have technology, infrastructure, expansion capability. Control, the Earth speaker said. The word cut clean. You're offering control. A beat. We are not interested in being managed. The lead representative stepped forward. This isn't about control, it's about survival. No, the Earth speaker replied. It's about continuity. Silence. You want to continue the system that brought you here. A step closer. We chose not to. The air in the room felt different now. Tighter. Not hostile, but resolved. You don't have time to rebuild, the second representative said. You don't understand the scale of what we're facing. The Earth speaker held their gaze. We understand it perfectly. A pause. You're just not willing to do what it requires. And what does it require? The first representative asked. That question mattered more than anything else said so far, because this was the real negotiation, not resources, change. The Earth speaker didn't hesitate. Give up ownership. Silence. Of what? The third representative asked. Everything. That hit like impact. Resource control, hierarchical authority, extraction-based growth. A beat. The system you built to survive is the reason you won't. No, the second representative said immediately. That's not realistic. It is, the Earth speaker replied. You just don't want it to be. The lead representative exhaled slowly. You're asking us to dismantle everything. Yes. No hesitation, no compromise. That's not a negotiation, he said. No, the Earth speaker agreed. It's a condition. Silence filled the space, heavy, unavoidable. Behind me, I could feel it, the shift, the moment where possibility closes and something else takes its place. We don't have time for this, the third representative said. And there it was, the truth, not spoken, but exposed. They weren't here to change, they were here to confirm. And we don't have time to support a system that will fail again, the Earth speaker replied. A pause, then final. If you return, return differently. No threat, no escalation, just a line, clear and unmovable. The meeting was over. No one said it, but everyone knew.
As we turned to leave, I looked back once. The Earth representatives hadn't moved. They hadn't shifted or reacted, because for them, this wasn't a turning point. It was confirmation. The airlock sealed behind us and the ship hummed back to life. No one spoke at first. Then, "They're insane," the second representative said. "They're finished," the third added. "They just don't know it yet." I stared out at Earth, bright, alive, untouchable, and for the first time I said it out loud. No. They turned toward me,
confused. What? I didn't look away. They know exactly what they're doing. A pause. And we just made a mistake. Silence. What mistake? The lead representative asked. I finally turned to face them and said the one thing they weren't ready to hear. We just gave them a reason to stop us. The ship turned, engines igniting, carrying us back to the moon, back to a decision that had already been made.
Act 5. The First Strike. War doesn't begin with an explosion. It begins with justification. By the time the first strike was approved, no one was calling it that anymore. Intervention, stabilization, preventive action, words designed to make the inevitable feel necessary. The council chamber was quieter than usual, not tense, resolved. That was worse. Earth has refused cooperation, the lead counselor said. Multiple opportunities for integration have been rejected. A pause. They are isolating themselves. No one said the obvious. That isolation was working. They've constructed a closed system, another added, self-sustaining, self-defending, and incompatible, a third finished. There it was, not an enemy, not yet, but something worse, a system that couldn't be controlled. That leaves us with one option, the lead said. No vote, no debate, because the decision had already been made before anyone entered the room. Authorize Phase 1. They didn't send a fleet. That would have been visible, predictable, and based on everything we'd seen, completely useless. No, they sent something smarter, smaller, invisible. A single infiltration craft. No weapons, no signature, just one purpose. Find the system and break it from the inside. I wasn't supposed to be there. Observers don't get assigned to covert operations, but I understood Earth, at least more than they did, and that made me useful, or dangerous, depending on who you asked. Entry vector locked, the pilot said. Her voice was calm, professional, like this was just another mission. It wasn't. We go in silent, the operative across from me added. No signals, no emissions. A glance in my direction, and no assumptions. Too late for that. Earth grew in the viewport. Blue, alive and untouched. The same as before, but different now, because this time we weren't being invited. Crossing threshold in 10 seconds. No alarms, no defense response, no indication that we'd been detected. 5. Still nothing. 3. Clear. 2. Clean. 1. We passed through. And for a moment it felt like we were right. Atmospheric entry stable, the pilot confirmed. No resistance. The operative allowed himself a small smile. See, they're not ready. I didn't respond, because something felt wrong. Not danger, not threat, something else. Absence. We descended through cloud cover, white giving way to green forests, waterways, structures blending seamlessly into the land, exactly like before, except now we were inside it. Target zone ahead, the pilot said. Coordinates appeared, a convergence point. Energy readings minimal, but consistent. This is it, the operative said, the core system. He leaned forward. Deploy probe. A small device detached from the craft, falling silently toward the surface. No signal, no trace. Designed to map, then disrupt. Probe active, the pilot said. Scanning. She stopped, frowned. That's strange. What? The operative snapped. It's not reading anything. That's impossible. It's not detecting a system. Silence. Expand the scan, he ordered. She did. Wider, deeper, more aggressive, but still nothing. No infrastructure, she said slowly. No centralized control. No network.
"That's not possible," the operative repeated, but his voice had changed, less certain now. "Everything we saw is still here," I said quietly. They both looked at me. "Then where is it?" he demanded. I didn't answer because I was starting to understand, and the answer was worse than anything they expected. "Probe descending to contact point," the pilot said. "Manual override engaged." If they couldn't find the system, they'd force a reaction. The probe hit the ground, soft, silent, and for 1 second, nothing happened. Then the world changed. Not violently, not explosively, precisely. The probe didn't exist anymore. No debris, no signal loss, no interference spike. Just gone.
"What the hell was that?" the pilot whispered. "Did it malfunction?" "No," I said. My voice felt distant, detached. "They removed it." "How?" the operative snapped. "There's no system." I looked out at the landscape, at the trees, the water, the air itself. "There is no central system," I said. "It's everything." And that's when the craft responded, not to a command, not to an attack, to a decision. Controls flickered, then stabilized. "Did you do that?" the pilot asked. "No." Her hands moved quickly across the interface. "I'm losing manual control." The operative reached for the override. "Cut the system." "It's not responding." No alarms, no warning, just control slipping away. The craft adjusted its position, smooth, effortless. "Something's interfacing with us," she said, "but there's no signal." "Shut it down," he barked. "I can't." The viewport shifted, turning, reorienting, not randomly, but intentionally. We were being moved, not attacked, directed. "Where are we going?" the pilot whispered. No one answered, because we all felt it. This wasn't defense, this was control, and we had already lost it. The craft descended slowly, lower, closer to the surface, guided toward an open clearing, no structures, no visible systems, just space. The engines powered down, not by command, by permission. Silence filled the cabin. No one moved or spoke, because for the first time we understood that we weren't inside their system. We were inside their decision. The hatch unlocked, a soft sound, almost polite, an invitation, or something else. The operative reached for his sidearm, even though there was nothing to shoot. "Don't," I said. He hesitated. "Why?" he asked. "Because I had seen this before. They're not stopping us," I said quietly. "They're letting us choose." Silence, and outside, Earth waited. Act 6. The Truth About Earth. The shuttle's engines whispered to a stop on a landing pad that seemed to rise from the Earth itself. No guards, no checkpoints, no armed response drones, just quiet. Daniel was invited to step out. The air hit him, crisp, clean, almost too perfect. He inhaled slowly. Each breath felt like a stolen treasure. "Daniel Cross." The voice was soft, warm, and calm. A young woman approached, her expression unreadable but welcoming. "You're expecting chaos," she said. Daniel shook his head. "Expecting ruin?" She smiled faintly. "Then you'll be surprised." They walked, and everywhere Daniel looked, he saw purpose without oppression. Buildings weren't towers, they were integrated into the land. Curved structures rose with the hills, rooftops lush with gardens, wind turbines spinning in harmony with the sun. Solar panels stretched across treetops like metallic leaves. Streams of clean water ran through open channels, irrigating crops in vast, automated but human-tended fields. Children laughed as they ran between gardens and open-air classrooms. Adults worked in teams, inspecting irrigation sensors, guiding drones that tended to crops, monitoring water levels, or repairing energy grids. And all of it moved in quiet synchrony, almost imperceptibly directed by AI assistants, invisible yet omnipresent. Daniel stopped near a canal. He cupped his hands and touched the water. Cool, pure, life itself. This isn't survival. This is evolution, he whispered. His guide, the young woman, tilted her head. It's not perfection, she said, just balance. A world that works with people, not against them.
They entered what could only be described as a council hall, though it was unlike any Daniel had ever seen. No grand marble floors, no intimidating statues. The space was wide, open, with sunlight streaming from glass ceilings. People sat around tables woven from living wood, discussing, debating, and planning. No uniforms, no ranks, no authority badges, just voices, ideas, collaboration. Daniel felt a pang in his chest. The moon, his home for the last decade, had never been like this. Hierarchy, wealth, privilege, power, greed. Here, none of it existed. Everyone has a seat, his guide explained. Every city, every community, every group, all represented, all heard. Decisions are made collectively. Daniel's mind raced. You mean this is Earth's government? Not government, she corrected. Coordination, stewardship. She led him to a side chamber where Earth's water and food systems were managed. Automated farms, moisture evaporators, purification systems, and irrigation networks stretched across multiple floors. Humans worked alongside machines, monitoring, maintaining, and improving. Water condensed from air, purified, and distributed precisely where it was needed. Crops grew in layers, rotation cycles managed perfectly by AI, but with humans checking every sensor. Daniel's mouth went dry. The moon would never, he muttered. They didn't survive. You did, the guide said quietly. He was taken to the Earth Council proper, a gathering of about a dozen individuals. They were welcoming, no ostentation, no threats, no arrogance, just honesty. Daniel Cross, a woman spoke, her voice calm, measured, and commanding without dominance. You've seen what we've built. You understand why the moon is desperate. Daniel swallowed. I do, but they think you're weak. Then you know the truth. Weakness isn't our tool. Intelligence, cooperation, foresight, that is.
She gestured to a holographic projection of the planet. Cities flowed into forests. Automated harvesters moved like fish through water. Moisture vaporators dotted landscapes, generating water quietly. Rivers, lakes, and reservoirs balanced naturally. Daniel's voice trembled. And the people? They accept this? She smiled. They don't accept it. They live it. There's no struggle for power, no endless greed, no hoarding, no fear of famine, no scarcity crises, only choices and consequences, collectively managed. Daniel felt his heart twist. They chose sustainability over expansion. Exactly, she said. They didn't rebuild what was lost. They evolved beyond it. Daniel looked around again. He saw health, order, and quiet purpose, and for the first time in years he wondered if humankind had a chance without hierarchy. She continued, We are ready. We have been ready. If the moon arrives to take, we are prepared, not to fight, but to protect our balance. Daniel felt a chill. The moon will not understand, he whispered. They will try, but they will fail, she said. Then she handed him a choice.
Daniel, you can stay, live here, learn how humanity thrives without domination. Or return to the moon, warn them, tell them the truth, and pray they listen. Daniel's chest tightened. His family, his life on the moon, his role as protector. He walked silently through the city one last time, watching children play under soft sunlight, adults tending fields, AI drones moving in harmony with humans. He inhaled. The air was sweet, alive, perfect. The biggest truth hit him. Earth didn't just survive, it thrived. It became something greater than the moon ever imagined. Daniel's decision crystallized. He would go back, not for himself, not for safety, for his family, and to warn the moon of what awaited them. The shuttle engines roared. Earth receded below him, alive, balanced, flourishing. Daniel Cross clenched his fists, because the next chapter wasn't diplomacy, it was war.
If this story pulled you into the future, don't let the signal end here. Subscribe to Echoes of Tomorrow audiobooks for immersive sci-fi, suspense, and original audio stories from the edge of reality. Leave a comment below and tell me, what part of this story stayed with you?
Hit the bell to be advised when the final episode of this series is posted.
Until next time, stay curious. The future is already whispering.